Okay, hello everyone. Well, I'm assuming it's going to be everyone, might only be me. Um, Firstly and foremost, heartfelt wishes to Shelley this time, to her family, friends, people in the community that were able to spend time with her husband and Shelley through the case involvement. And I don't want this appear to be like, just saying that and then carry on with the video, these words are meant. Uh, and I say them first because they are important, and I don't carry on, as though they don't mean anything at all, or that I'm just saying it for the sake of saying it. Let's start. Excuse me. So, through my videos, I have said many things, and some of them echo what Forrest has said because they're Forrest words, basically. And yet, I don't know. I don't understand. It seems as though Forrest was telling people that their soul was incorrect, and they don't listen. They don't take on board what's been said. And this is not just getting at Dave, this is, everybody. So I said that Dave's soul was associated with a man-made structure. And he still insists on talking about Sooner family, this, that, and the other. And Paul's video was correct if Dave is in fact, a searcher who believes that he's been hard done by. But if he truly is a searcher, then use the words that Forrest gave him and everybody else. And probably, not important, not the important one, but to do with that solve and any other solve. Chest is in water, not underwater. Now, Dave is telling us about a solve that he has that is, at the side of a car park, which is absolutely not in water. Not underwater, but definitely not in water. And it's like, okay, there's one reason why it's not going to be possibly that. Then you factor in all the other statements, and you have to lean towards it not being the correct solve. So while it is in the poem and deemed a good solution, and I'll tell you why I'm saying this in a bit, but it's like it's not in water. And Forrest said it was in water but not underwater. So anybody who has a solve that is not in water, why? Forrest told us, above 5,000 feet, below 10,200 feet. And there might be an absolute, spot on reason why he used those two measurements. But if you're not even bothering to say, well, is my solution above 5,000 feet? Or is it below 10,200 feet? If you're not even thinking and then making out it's fraud or saying whatever else you're saying, it's like, why? You're told it's not the answer. So, Forrest was having fun. He was telling people that their solve was incorrect and they weren't listening. It cannot be the right solve. If, we'll go on to it in a minute, if you have faith in the Maverick, and I am glad that Christy Meeps and Tim and a few other people, voiced an opinion that they do still have faith in the Maverick. Because nothing's changed. From 2010 when this started to now, nothing's changed, except for the way people think. That's all that's changed. Forrest is still Forrest. Doesn't matter who you believe Forrest Fenn to be, he is still Forrest. He is still the person that set this up, or whoever we believe set it up, or whatever the outcome is supposed to be. All of that is still the same. The information is exactly the same. Even if it's not who you are, it's who you can make them think you are. And that includes, people in the chase. So, and the reason why I've started is because there's a lot of that taken, and I want to get through the next bit. So, the statement are, people use these statements, and I'm not sure if they use the right statements or choose to use their own. So this is in person. I'm just going to rush through it because I don't want to spend too much time away from the chat. So the story is real, the treasure is real. This is in person. You can see it at the top there, but you'll see it later on. So in person, the story is real, the treasure is real. Oop, is that Taylor Swift? Ace. Signature. Is that the same signature that was in the book? Simple. Is it simple soul? Almost once upon a while, sorry. And some of these words, if you've been in the chase, should know that they have been used. Is it in an isolated place? Yes. As I have gone alone in there. I've gone past Lone Wolf. Anyway, that's the BA Lance that I keep going on about. And private, unique, focused. These are what? Contradiction with an audience. So, in person, but with an audience. Was Forrest out on a limb? Absolutely. He was hanging by a parachute out on a limb. And he was, no, here's Lone Wolf. And he was thinking about taking a jump out onto a limb. So he was in person at that point, staring off into the distance, isolated again. Differently. So as I have gone alone in there, as I have gone differently in there. So not as you might think, something different, and we've had simple, which were two. Alone is one of the words in the poem, and the other one was it was a simple poem. Directly, so that would mean right straight to it, wouldn't it? If you went direct. Oh, look. Toe to toe. Is that with another person? Or does that mean somebody was there in person? Gone toe to toe. Here we have straight from the horse's mouth. Isn't that something that Forrest said? It's to come from him. Can you hear the answer? See it with one's own eyes, so you can see it, you can hear it, but you don't have to be boots on the ground, even though it does say in the poem, BOTG, the last clue, you can be there in person, you have to be there in person. So, this is in person. Why am I saying that? Because, and I've said these things before, you have to, as far as I said, think, what if? Now, if is in the poem. I believe it to be an important word. Well, I think all the words are important, but the computer doesn't like to do what I want it to do. Choose to do what it wants to do. So, if, what if? So you have to think, what if? Well, if is in the poem. If you have been wise, and I've said these things before, but probably they fell on deaf ears. But if you've been wise, if you are braving in the wood. So suppose you've been wise. Imagine you've been wise. Let's say you've been wise. Allowing you've been wise. has a different ring to it than if you've been wise. But it gets more important than that. Provided you've been wise, under these conditions, is this talking to one person and one eventuality? Or is it talking to many people, many eventualities? As far as talking about all the souls in here and speaking to everybody and saying, look, for the hundreds of souls that there are, all of you at some point will be doing this. Let us suppose. As long as you've been wise, when you've been wise and found the blaze, when you are brave and in the wood. And I know this is what if, but what if is if. Where? Where you've been wise and found the blaze. Where you are brave and in the wood. Yeah, if you are brave and in the wood. Where you are brave and in the wood. So I can keep my secret. When? I can keep my secret. When? My secret. Wherever. My secret. Whenever. My secret. Provided. I can keep my secret provided. A hint of riches new and old. So has Forrest provided us the secret? Is Forrest saying that I provided the secret and I can keep it? And hint of riches new and old. So you can read these imaginations of more important knowledge. If you think what if, which is what Forrest said, you need to think what if. You need to imagine. Where? My secret. When? My secret. So using the word if, and only if, what is impersonal? So I said at the beginning that Forrest could have only hid it in the words that were used. Absolutely 100%, I believe that. It can only be hidden in the words that are used. In whatever way, shape or form you look at that poem. And I've looked at that poem in lots of different ways. But it is the only place that Forrest could have hid it. Or we needed to find Forrest. We had to be in his reverie. So people talk about, I'll come back to me. Hi, Sophia. Just got home. High five. It's good to see you. Uh-oh, who's irritated you? Hi, INFJ. Hi, INFJ. Good to read you. I hope you're not irritated by the good people in the chase. So Forrest has given us lots of words. And as I was saying, I think Forrest was saying to people, people say, oh, Forrest talked to me in the scrapbook, this, that, and the other. But I think Forrest was discounting souls with the words that he used. And if he said, it's in water, not underwater, then if your soul was not in water, then there's a possibility that that wasn't correct. And if you were in Forrest's imagination and walking in his footprints, which are the words that he gave us, then it's difficult to see how you can make a case against Charlo or anybody. And I'm not getting at Dave. I'm just saying, Dave, if you go to court with the information that you have against the information that Forrest gave, it isn't going to last long because it's not in water. So therefore, you've already been shot down. It's associated with a man-made object, and that shoots you down again. And there are other statements that Forrest made that shoots down potential solutions. Now, you can try and make excuses to override those statements, but at the end of the day, those statements are from Forrest. And if Forrest said it's in water, not underwater, and you have a solve that is not in water, I don't know. The only thing that goes against that is, what if there is a different chest that's been spoken about, or a different answer that's been spoken about? But you're clearly not talking about a different answer. You were talking about the chest, and you were saying that Jack is this, that, and the other, and you're saying that Forrest is a liar, and so is Charlo, and you've been done out of whatever it is that you deserve. And I'm not saying you're wrong, because in the poem, it talks about the same thing, but I don't think anybody should go up against the words of Forrest Fenn. If anything, you should take them to heart and, like some people have said, still have faith in a maverick. He didn't do this lightly, or I can't remember the exact words that he was using, but along with there are some problems that come with the treasure hunt, or whatever it was that he was said. I think Forrest was trying to do the best by everybody without compromising his masterpiece, I suppose. Uh-oh. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, well, I'm not sure if I was there then. Hey, Amy, good to read you. Well, it's nice to be seen, thank you. Yeah, so those statements that I make aren't statements because I want to cause trouble and say that people are wrong. I make these statements to prove Forrest right. That's why I make all the statements that I make. And I believe they are factual because they are the words that Forrest used. Now, admittedly, and thinking back, I was probably stupid sending Forrest synonyms of information. But at the time, I was looking at lots and lots of different words, and I thought it was a little bit funny because Forrest was having fun. He said, if he how did he put it? He said, I think it's funny I'm the only one that knows what I'm saying. So I was pretty much doing it on the other foot and saying, well, now you know how it feels if you have to look up, 2,000 words to find one. But obviously, I didn't realise when I first started in the chase that Forrest didn't answer anybody's emails anyway. So it wouldn't have mattered if I'd have used the correct words or came out and said the correct statements. I'm trying to use my words correctly. So they are different than just your everyday, what Forrest said. I can go right straight to it. It's simple, simplify. You need a correct solve, a winning solve. Those things differentiate between a good solve. Now, there's a word in the poem that I believe is the provided, that it says in, I was just reading, the what if. So, was it the what if or the in-person? The what if. So it's provided. I can keep my secret provided. So Forrest provided a secret, and then he can look into which is new and old. Possibly. So reading the poem, I believe that's where the information is. And the poem is similar to information and news. But reading it differently, which was another word that is synonyms. So as I have gone differently in there, as opposed to how he is going now, just the normal writing. So it took a long time. Well, it seemed a long time. I mean, I haven't been in the States that long, but many words to read that first line in lots of different ways at the same time. So at the same time he was writing this, he was writing something different. So as meaning at the same time, I have gone differently in there. So at the same time, I've gone differently in the poem. So using those words differently and having a different interpretation of the poem. Till you get to the end where it could say, and it says a lot of different things, but it could say, if you're confident and contact Forrest, I'll give you ownership of the deed. So using all those words differently and interpreting the poem differently, which is a word that is synonym of what if, because Forrest said you have to think what if. So you have to think differently. And people weren't thinking differently. But even though they weren't thinking differently, when Forrest made statements, they took them literally and not differently. So I could shoot myself in the foot and say, well, Forrest was giving out information. It's in water, not underwater, so therefore we read that differently. But I think that's information. Those statements were made for everybody to understand. Simple information, like the poem, it's simple. So in water, not underwater means some of the souls that people have aired make me think, well, it can't be right. I keep going to the same one, 5,000 feet, 10,200 feet. If your soul is out of those, some people make excuses why that's the case. And then you call Forrest a liar because your interpretation is different than Forrest's. And it's like, hang on a minute. Didn't Forrest set this up? So shouldn't Forrest's answer be the correct answer? And you have to fall in line with that rather than saying, well, I believe it's this, and Forrest is a liar. I don't think Forrest is a liar. I don't think, there's no way. Checkmated. Yeah, that's even that's one of the solves that I did. So the whole point was, and let's talk about mysterious writings, Jenny now, and 6 reverse questions, or whatever they were. And I haven't looked at that yet, so maybe I should do. I looked at the poem in every which way but loose, but Jenny Carr said, why has nobody ever been able to say checkmate Forrest? So to me, red flag that is. That had to be, I'm not saying it's the correct answer, I'm saying that had to be an answer the same as all the other answers that are in the poem. So, and checkmate is written in the poem where the chest is. And the king is there. Literally, the king is there. So why not try to checkmate Forrest? But then how was that going to be possible? How could you, just because the word was there, how does that mean you could checkmate Forrest? So you had to play chess. You had to find a way to play chess. You had to find a way to play canasta or gin, or whatever those games are. Canasta was definitely one, but there are other games in there. The lottery's in there. The tag obviously is in there. It's your it. Scrabble, word search, blah blah blah. Lots of different answers. The point is that Forrest said he knew those answers and he tried to think of everything. So therefore, when somebody came up with a statement for one of those answers, he would give a statement back. No, not a statement for one of those answers, a solve for one of those. he would give a statement back. Forrest would give a statement and basically say, no, it's not that, without them realising he was saying, no, it's not that. So he'd make statements like, a blind man can't find the chest. Well, I think that's directed at certain people. That says, no, it's not. That's not the answer I want. In water, not underwater. Punctuation won't help. All of those statements, absolutely directed at people, in my opinion, directed at people in the chase who have given Forrest a solve, and Forrest is saying, no, it's not that. Whatever information you're giving me, that's not what I want to read. And I think if there is that I didn't know the finder, all these people are saying that they solved it, have all conversed with Forrest, which means that they know Forrest. Forrest knows me. Well, if he knows you, then how is the statement, I did not know the finder, mean that you are the finder? Some of the things I don't get. I don't get why people would say that. Now, again, I go back to, people in the chase helping Forrest, and the chaos is better than the embroidery. That's all I can say. Hi, Steve. Steve, you're starting to make me feel like you're Rick. Do you have skull and crossbones as well? Spades is a lot of. So, and I agree with what you're saying, Five Leaf. It's possible to do that, but are you putting all the information in there, or the information that could lend to being the answer that you want? So you have to put all the information in there, including mine, including Sophia's, including Tim K's, including Queen's, including Amy's, whoever's got information. You have to put it all in there and see what it does with all the information, not the biased information that's being put in. I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I'm just asking a question. Because if you're putting all the letter S's in and you come up with the answer S, then, surprise, surprise, it's S. So put the whole alphabet in and then see which letter comes out. I am on Facebook, but I don't visit it often. Unless I see like 20 notifications, then I just quickly browse through. So it's quite possible that there is a 9-mile hole answer, but not 9-mile hole. All the information in the chase is relevant and important information. And people choose to think. Don't know what the word is. But of the same mind, as opposed to different, which is what if. What if? So everybody hears the 9-mile hole and they think 9-mile hole. And that's all they discuss. They don't think about those 3 words and what they could potentially mean. I think I'm a firm believer that the answers will come out, and they will be honest answers. And there should be no distress for anyone, unless you choose not to believe the truth. And I say that because you ask somebody what the weather's like, and they'll give you an answer, but that's based on where they live, and they will argue blue in the face that that is the weather, but only if you live in a certain place. You have to find out who is asking the question and where it is they are talking about before you can say I'm right or I'm correct. So firstly, you have to understand at which point you're at when you're asked the question, and then when you give the answer, you have to put yourself in that position. You can't choose an answer from where you're standing. You have to take the viewpoint from whoever's asking you the question. I can't believe that, Sophia. I can't. Is it Sophia or Sophia? Like, is it sort of like a PH sound, or is it pound every? I can't believe that. Thank you, Sophia. And by here, you don't mean where you are. You mean actually talking at the F sound. Thank you. Oh, you're not? So, Fenn, I. Well, I've tried to do this. Is a deep thinking in me. I don't want to say anything that is going to upset somebody. But in this day and age, it's difficult to say something that doesn't upset someone. So it's trying to say something that is factual and not going to be misinterpreted, which is very difficult nowadays, because especially for me, because I've spent my time looking at so many synonyms. It's like, well, it could mean such and such. And, there's lots of contradictions in the chase. And that in itself should let anyone who has a soul take the time to go over their soul and look at the contradictions as well and see if they matter. See if they change their viewpoint. I mean, I'm not kidding. I don't know how many souls I've had. And I was absolutely convinced of all of them. Like I said, I should show you the videos really of me standing around and calling myself an idiot. And just as I was walking, I was seeing heavy loads and water high and blazes and all sorts of things. Just as I was walking Casper. So whichever that, obviously I must have still been in Casper. I don't know what part of Casper that would have been if I was walking towards Casper Mountain. But just looking around and going, oh, that could be heavy loads of water high. That could be, no place for the meat there. That could be the blaze. That could be, and it's like, it could be anywhere. Absolutely anywhere. And then I was top of a little hill. And the grass was pretty high, which I'm not used to be fair. And I was thinking, man, that could be 12 foot from me. This chest could be 12 foot from where I'm standing right now. I wouldn't find it. And somebody could be walking behind me, 20 minutes later, and just stumble on it. So that's crazy. That can't be right. Ah, Bill and his cartouche. So you saw the video as well, did you? Well, you obviously did, because you left a message. I think the other one was funnier with the girl. What's it say on my hand? Ouch, my face. So, really good. I like it. So that was the Maverick video that you saw, wasn't it, Bill? Oh, 5 lift going on. Cool. How can you see Bill? See, Bill, when I first got into the chase, I was like, what the heck? It was difficult to understand what Bill was saying. So you had to try and condense down all the information into one block to make it easier to understand. Because when I first got in, I was like, I don't understand it. And that's with, other people as well. Street does videos and I look at them every day. I don't understand. Well, it's only a 15-second video, but I look at it and I go, I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. But after you get used to it, you think, oh, you get used to the way they think. It suddenly dawns on you, I was saying this. So when I first came in, people were saying stuff and I had no idea. And I was thinking, these people are crazy, because I don't understand that soul. It's not how my brain works. And it's only when you get to listen and hear, over and over and try to understand what they're saying. And that's why I think everybody's right, because I don't see anybody who's given it a soul that is not believable or not understandable in the poem. Yes, you said in your statement, Bill. Like, I can't remember who it was now. Was it King Tut? I can't remember who you said. I can't remember who you said, but you mentioned somebody. Well, maybe leave your friend in the cartouche. Leave your friend in the cartouche. So you talk about teachers with ropes. Well, Forrest was going in circles. So I think, we're all going in circles. I think the whole idea of this is to have as much chaos as possible. To not make it unsolvable. Um, but to have too many avenues to look down. Yeah, we were talking about, so me and Dave were talking about the Buffalo Cowboys, the cafe, and them, making burgers out of Cody. So you stayed home, did you, Steve? That's a good idea. So even that, when I found that in the poem, stay home, play canasta. At the home of Brown, canasta is at warm waters halt as well. So Forrest made the statement: if you don't have where warm waters halt, you might as well stay home and play canasta. And all of that is all in the same place in the poem. It's like, what? How? Just thinking about that, thinking how impossible it was, but then seeing all the other stuff. I don't know. I don't know who did it. Still don't know who did it. Probably, this what I did as well. I stayed home, and then I went out, and then I stayed home. So, um, me personally, I believe it could have been an armchair solve. And I went through in person and what if you missed it before we came on. So in person was toe to toe, and stuff like that. And what if was obviously if and where and when. So those words, well, where is in the poem and if is in the poem. And there are other words that you could use that make you understand the poem, but it's important to know what is worth knowing, Forrest said. So out of those words that you come up with, even the word provided, so I can keep my secret instead of where provided. So provided a secret and hint of riches new and old. So Forrest gave us the secret, and then he's going to hint of riches new and old, which could be, the bells, the jars, or other riches. So the ball of string disappeared, and I believe that could have been, when the poem was finished. I know he's talking about when he was a lad. Hi, Davy. How you doing? Did you match the pots? Who are you talking to? Are they all in? Is everybody in? Everybody all in? So, yeah, that was easy to stay home and play canasta if it was movable. Be like a snail, or what are the ones in the sea? Can't remember. They're probably snails as well. Can't remember. Not a snail because it's got legs in it. It's in the sea. They all get together with all different size shells, and then they swap them. So you go from a small shell to a bigger shell, and a bigger shell, and a bigger shell, till you get to the end shell. Hey, hello, Fendi. It's good to read you. Always appreciate your words, although not sure if you great to copper or chase underground. Um, I'm definitely not chase underground, not copper either. Um, decades worth of information. You are not well. If it took 15 years to write the poem, more than a decade, going off 2 decades probably. If it started in 1988, then that's a long, long time of stuff. So it started in I think Forrest talks about the square knots and stuff, and there was also the Gordian knot. So, wow, you start wondering, and I think that's what this was all about, to make people wonder. And I believe that Forrest, has still the ace in the hole. And I think, when he plays that card, you have to remember he got a vacuum cleaner for Peggy by being smart with his cards. So, they were locked in, was it the restroom? And he had to make a bet with his commanding officer or whatever. Whoop, call it, Davey. Cheers, buddy. Oh, it's for Fendi. Okay. Where's mine? I don't even drink, but that doesn't matter. And sweet. Swigs it quickly. Should appreciate a good bourbon. Where's my milk, baby? Didn't swig that down the bar, did you? No, I'm not a drinker. Unfortunately, don't drink, don't smoke. Well, how's the song go? What you gonna do? That's it. Don't drink, don't smoke. Goody two, goody two, goody two shoes. Quickly. Bit of Adam and the Ants for those people who are still too young to remember that. Have you had coffee yet, Davey? Some mud. So, Fendi, you were talking about, are you ready? Are you, do you care? Those sort of things. I think there's 3 years now for any solver, whoever the solver is, has had time to, like Forrest said, contemplate their lot in life. To understand where they are, to know where they want to be, and to have a vision of where they could be going. So I would hope that the solver has taken on board, those sort of implications. If the solver is aware that there isn't just a chest of gold, I believe firmly that Forrest has an idea as to where this would be. Said the story is real, the treasure is real for a reason. And those people that say Jack doesn't exist, so of course he exists. There's a reason. There's a reason for Jack, and it's no different than the reason that Forrest did the poem. It's going to make it happen. Yeah, so I did a video once that it said that you had to greet Forrest with a handshake and read the poem backwards. That's what it says in the poem. It's like, what? That's what it said. You have to recite the poem backwards while giving Forrest a handshake. What? I mean, it says a lot more other stuff, but the first stanza, it says that. Recite my poem backwards as well, giving handshakes and all that. So yeah, what do I think about letters? I think this is all about letters. I think Forrest's mum was waiting for the postman. He was going to deliver all those letters. And that postman took away the ball of string, I think. Took away all the letters. So he was either going to give letters or take letters away. But she was waiting for the postman looking out the window. If I don't know how deep a dive Forrest, did this. But as I said in my videos, I went to the nth degree. I went to every letter. Every letter. I looked up what that letter could mean and wrote different versions and different stories of what could have potentially been said. And if there wasn't a word for one letter, I used the two letters and joined them. But I didn't just do it as the poem read. I slid those lines and did it with those as well. So it's similar to Try the Wheel. The word treasures, and then wrote a story and different starting points, different finish points. You can't imagine what I did to that poem. But I did it on the instructions of Forrest. He made statements that says, "This is how you solve my poem. Deep thinking, searcher using logic, shift, drift, and adjust. He who can best adapt. One foot on top of the other. Simplify, right, straight. All of that, plus what's in the poem. Look quickly down, using left as down and up as right. And you won't believe what I did." Plus all the other stuff that I've already talked about, and plus stuff that I haven't talked about because it's in the realm of other people there doing the similar soul, so I'd rather not talk about those. But letters. I haven't received any letters through the mail, if that's what you're trying to imply. I haven't had any of them, but I think the letters are important. I think I did a video the other day, talked about where the treasure lies. It's exactly the same as Try the Wheel, using the word treasures, because that is with my treasures bold, so treasures is highlighted. With my treasures bold, is treasures highlighted. He can keep his secret where, so that is, it says where the treasure lies is the poem. So you could have information in the poem, or it's just the same as Try the Wheel. It's just any part of something. I think the information Forrest had, he told us, was in his head. So therefore you had to be in the reverie that Forrest talked about, and first find Forrest, and then find out where he was in his reverie. And at that point you may get an answer. And if you weren't prepared to do that, then there goes the metal and resolve that Forrest said you needed. I like Indy's work, and this is no offense to Indy, but you make a suggestion, says, "Oh, I can't, my head hurts," and then the metal and resolve goes out the window, and then you start again on something else. So you just have to stick with that tenacity that Forrest was talking about. You have to have it. You can't. I had lots of good souls, absolutely brilliant souls, but you have to rip them apart with all the words that Forrest gives you. And as I said earlier, if Forrest said it's in water, not underwater, then your soul has to understand that some part of it has to be in water. If not underwater, it has to be in water. And I question, I can't say they're wrong because I'm not Forrest, and it does say in the poem of all the souls being a good solution. But that in water, not underwater, is no different than above 5,000 feet. You have to use it as part of your identifying marker that says, can this soul be correct? It's not in water. Maybe not. Maybe I have to look somewhere else. Or I have to accept that this may be one soul, but there may be another one. Cleverly, successfully. Now, I find it hard to think that anyone can be sued because there's too many people that claim to have the answer. So how can one person be sued if there are other people saying that they have the chest? You can't sue somebody that you think is the solver. I don't think you can, because there are other people saying that they are. You didn't want to. Right, I don't want anything to happen to you either, and I can't confirm it, Bill, but I don't know. Oh, I'm missing all of this. You lot are writing too fast. Yeah, I think the protecting from lawsuits is a big thing in the chase, and McCracken goes on another month. So after that, I think whoever the solver is may be free from all the problems that Forrest has foreseen and tried to combat. So hopefully, all the people that are saying they are the solver will, at the end of July when the McCracken case is finished, then that might, start the ball rolling, as it were. Not being informed as if, yeah. Well, maybe the solver has been informed. Maybe, um, they just don't know it. Maybe they have been told, and they just don't know that, they have the answer. Because, Forrest was a clever person, and he wouldn't directly come out and tell somebody that they'd done it. But, that as well would have to be earned. You'd have to work out, what's being said, if at all. And I think Forrest used scrapbooks to give people information. So good for you, Forrest. So let's see. Um, yeah, logic is weird because it's your interpretation of something. What you believe to be true may not be the other person's belief. Well, maybe not, but the solver does need protection because there are some crazy people out there. And if there is a loophole that people wish to try and find in order to claim something, they will. And that means whoever the solver is will not see anything until those things are resolved. Oh, I like that. It's not in the sunshine. So the place is, but the chest is not in the sunshine. I wouldn't say anything. I wouldn't bother if people receive letters or not. I think if Forrest said the person would have to earn it. So if a person earns it and received letters, whatever information that was on, then that's up to Forrest and the person who earns it. Now I know Brent has received a letter. I also know that there is a soul for the letter in the words and the poem, and there is a soul for the book in the words and the poem. So I fully expect there to be a solve about a letter, and I fully expect there to be a solve about the book. And Forrest even said in his book that that was me. That was a story about me. That book was about me. So therefore, why wouldn't Forrest? It's quite possible that's the case. And I'll talk about the Breckenridge. No, it's still evening, not morning yet. I don't know who's saying that. Hi, Frank. Yes, it's good evening. We are 23:26 here, so only just about staying in the same day that I started. They don't have to beat the solver, do they? They just have to tie you up so you don't get nothing. You know, at the end of the day, if you doesn't matter how good your solve is, it matters how good that person can tie you up with whatever it is that they have, the information that they have. Yeah, and then that's the issue that I'm saying to you. They are, they are there to try and get something. Whether they do or not is irrelevant. They will still, delay whatever it is that you're hoping for even further. Mm. Well, I think most people's souls are unique. Dave's soul isn't done by, I don't see everyone else jumping up and saying, it's a Superman soul in comics and this, that, and the other. I don't see everybody jumping up and down and saying it's a cipher. I think the souls that people are coming out with are unique. They have to be. But it has to be a unique soul, and not just a unique soul. I think. I don't know. I'm not Forrest. So I believe all the souls are unique, but I just think that it's verified Jack Stoof doesn't exist outside of China. No, Jack Stoof doesn't. And Jack Stoof came in as Jonathan Jack Stoof. So therefore, the information you have to put in is Jonathan Jack Stoof. The community called him Jack Stoof, but he came into the chase as Jonathan brackets Jack Stoof. So the information is, does Jonathan Jack Stoof exist? And the answer would be yes. He is the medical student who claimed to have found the treasure. And if you put that information, which is what I'm saying, if you put in the information that you believe is correct and not the factual information that we have in the chase, then you're going to get the answer that you want. But if you put in everything, then it may be a different answer. It still may be the answer that you want, but he came in as Jonathan Jack Stoof, so therefore that is the information you have to put in. We changed it to Jack Stoof, just like we changed a lot of things. We changed things that Forrest said, and he never said those things. He never said it was just to find a story to tell. He said he was answering K-Pro's question in regard to what the finder should do, if they found the chest. And he was saying, well, I'm out. It's up to them what they do. I'm not trying to make whatever after the fact or something. But he was talking about them finding the chest. He wasn't saying, from the get-go, it's all about the find and the finder's story, and etc. He was answering a question that says, it's up to them. When they find it, they do what they want. It's up to them to tell. So I think it's been pushed around a different answer than it actually was. Of course, Forrest put a cipher in the poem. He told us all that he put a cipher in the poem. He told us about Bible verses, he told us about head pressures, he told us about ciphers. The only thing he didn't say was anagrams. So maybe you should ask AI about an anagram solve in the Forrest Fenn chase and see what they come up with. I'll tell you there is one. And it's a good one. Like all the other good solutions. People talk about dinosaurs, and that's quite possible. That's another thing. Somebody was talking about the T-Rex. Absolutely. And I made a comment about Lucy, but Lucy, I think, is an old, not an old name, but a name for somebody, around in prehistory or history, whatever it's called. Basically going back to that sort of time period. Being in history. Yeah, I'm surprised that you went to Greece, Bill, and even more surprised at the information that you were talking about while you were there. You know, it was really good information, and that sort of, yeah, made me think. Yeah, it'll probably be too late for me, Fire, but I will watch it. You know, it is interesting. You know, I absolutely believe in the cipher that you talk about, 100%. Um, but like I say, Forrest never said there wasn't one. He said they were offered as good solutions, which means there absolutely is, but it might not take you to the treasure chest or whatever his answer was. Now, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying I'll just use what Forrest says or said. I'll use what Forrest said, not in trying to prove people wrong, but in trying to prove him right, which means I try to prove Forrest right, and that would mean that yeah, I'll try to prove Forrest correct, and that would mean that I am correct if Forrest is correct. So what Forrest says is correct, and that means if I follow that, then logic says I'll be correct. If I follow what Forrest said, if Forrest was correct, and I prove Forrest to be correct, then by association I should be correct as well. And I've frozen. I don't know why. Uh-oh. I hate my computer. Where's Godelkin when you need him, offering out free laptops? Locations. Locations. Hmm. So what if it was just one location? What if you just had to go to one location? I said something the other day about. Okay, good, good. And I'm happy to receive that information. Copy that in your watch. And this is over. Text is fiction. Read he is fiction. Of course he's fiction, but that doesn't mean he doesn't exist. Um, we have records of Jonathan Jack Stoof, a medical student from such and such and such and such. And the fact that he exists in our thought process means he will always exist in our thought process. Is it the answer that you all believed it to be at the time? Maybe not. But it is part of a process that has to take place, in my opinion. So I don't disagree. Dinosaur National Monument was Argo Road, I think, if that's the one you're on about. So did a poem. Well, yeah, did a solicitor to the poem and was heading down that way, and different to your answers, I would say, but still takes you to the same place. Doesn't mean it's correct. Doesn't mean it's incorrect. Everybody will give an answer and say that that answer is correct. Only Forrest will know the answers or answer that is correct. Thank you, INFJ. Like I say, it depends on the information you put into AI. The AI can only act like a brain. And if you put information into the brain, then the brain will work out what the possible solution is. And if you have the incorrect information or biased information, then you get a biased answer. It's just my opinion, because I use my brain as a template for that. Information. Jack is named after my dog, so Jack is close. That's fine. Well, I'm not going to argue that, but it doesn't explain all that's happened in the chase. No, as of November 2019. I believe there is a simple cipher. 1 is A, 2 is B, 3 is C, 4 is D, etc. Those sort of things. But I was never called Jack Jeff. Oh, that rings a bell. Jeff. But I was never called Jack Jeff. No, but Forrest did say that a blind man can't find it. He did say that punctuation won't help. He did say it was in water, not underwater. He did say it was above 5,000 feet below 10,200 feet. Forrest said a lot of things that could discount people's souls. And I believe there's a cipher in the poem. I don't disagree with that. But those people that say that Forrest said there wasn't one in the poem, they're deluded. That statement clearly states that they are good. All those possibilities were good solutions. But he didn't talk about anagrams, which people should wonder, well, why didn't he talk about anagrams? And I believe that anagrams play a part in a answer. I don't say that's the correct answer. I just say it does play a part in a answer. Yes, the whole point of that is, and I don't understand why people argue that point. Forrest says I didn't know the finder. So at the point that Forrest says I didn't know the finder, at that point, anybody who claimed to have interacted with Forrest, knew Forrest, then that should be a red flag to them, saying, well, if Forrest didn't know the finder, then it can't be me because he knows me. He spoke to me. I spoke to him. He gave me emails, etc., etc., etc. And if he converts with people after the find, because Forrest says, hadn't communicated to whatever, however that went, the communication part of it. It is not in the poem. Yeah, just like there's a word type focus with a word that is key. People are not in type focus with a word that is key. So if you're saying the word that is key, then obviously the key word that he's talking about is key, which I sent to Forrest. If you're telling people that there is a word that people are not in type focus with, and you're saying that that word is key, then you have to understand the word key. Okay, yeah, and I would understand, that I could definitely understand why Forrest was horrified of hearing that somebody found a cipher that was in the poem. Yeah, I never called Forrest, but I know someone who did. There are a few people in the chase that I know of that called Forrest. There are lots of people in the chase that I know who emailed Forrest, but that number goes down dramatically when I try to think of the people that Forrest didn't know. So I didn't know the finder, have not communicated, blah blah blah. All those things, those statements can limit down the possibility of who Forrest was talking to. Yes, a mechanic is a solver. That's a good statement, Davey. I like that. So, a mechanic is a solver. Customer states electrical problem in car. Solver asked, is it electric car, diesel, or petrol? This question eliminates certain possibilities without the correct info. Ah, you've added it on. Yeah. I was going to say, what does that mean without the correct info? You have misleading answers. So, Jack gave us a confirmation bias video, but nobody seemed to take any notice of it. And it didn't matter what Forrest said, they still believed in the solve that they had. I think if you really want answers and not just searching for a chest or wanting the chest or it's all about the gold, if you just want to solve it, then you should take the statements that Forrest used to say how to solve the poem and those things that discount possible answers or solutions, like it's in water, not underwater, west of Toledo. Did the hot water affect the patina? If that is not in your solve, I don't get why you think you have a solve. Whilst it can be a good solution because it is in the poem, it can't be the correct solve. It can only be a good solution. And as I said before, those people who found a chest, if that's what you're looking for, then maybe you should get something because you found a chest. But if your solve doesn't understand what the hot water affecting patina is going to do, or why Forrest said it, then in my opinion, it can't be correct. You have to have a solve that matches all the information that Forrest gave us. Because if the solve comes out and it can't match that, then it makes Forrest a liar. But I believe the solve can come out that can match everything that he said. The girl from India can't get close in the first two clues. Solve the first clue, walk right by the chest. If I told you the home of brown, you go right straight to it. Why are you worried about the blaze if you know the home of brown? Blah 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 blah. As many statements as Forrest made, they can prove the solve. They can prove it. And if you don't use all those statements that Forrest make for your solve, then maybe you have to look again at your solve because Forrest didn't make those statements nonchalantly. He was very specific in why he said those things. A deep thinking searcher using logic can solve the poem. Sure for the one that did. One foot on top of the other. Simplify. It's a simple poem. All of that information is to aid the finder, not the seeker. That information was put specifically for somebody who would think using logic, who would think deeply using logic. I would love to be able to do that sort of thing, five leaf. To get involved with AI, but I do have a concern about AI. There has to be a safeguard put in there somewhere. Otherwise, it's Terminator job. What box? Is that the fake chest? Is that what you're on about? So that is the chest that was in the Thrill of the Chase. It's not fake. That was a question that Jack gave, and the answer that Forrest gave was yes, because it was specific. It's the chest. It's on the Thrill of the Chase dust jacket. And if you have that in your lap, blah, 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 it's probably very possible that that it's definitely possible. There's a reason that Forrest said all the things that he said. And he thought of it, or tried to think of everything. So people think, well, why has Jack said that? What's that got to do with anything? It's specific. and it's, in order to make it happen or make it work, or took on a purpose of its own, or the profundity, or all of those words that Forrest, threw at us, and we were like, what? What is he talking about? Ah, who's Skidoo? What's crappening? Hi, thanks for live. Thank you, who's Skidoo. Trying to wonder who you are with regard to the use of words that you had, and it's not, crappening has not appeared in chat, so not going to get anything by that. But yeah, thank you for saying thanks. Oh, right. Are you answering who's good, or are you something else, Sophia? Indiana Jones reaching for titles in American graffiti while Richard Dreyfuss chases. Okay, so I'm liking the Indiana Jones reference. I'm a firm believer in the Dial of Destiny having some implication with regard to the thrill of the chase, because it was wrote in the poem that the trailers would be shown, and they were. And this was of a film that nobody knew about in 2010, and didn't even know about the delays that would happen because Harrison got injured and those sort of things. It's like, what? How is that possible? But it was done, and I have proof that it's done. And the film comes out. The film exists, the title and everything, which nobody knew about in 2010. It was all kept a secret. So I'm believing, that maybe it may have some reference to the chase, but the fact that it was already in the poem, is a way of verifying, the information that the poem gives, which, always blows me away. Don't know how it was done, and if it was done with AI, it was of a high standard for then. Talk 2010. I mean, AI is getting better each time, but if that's what you should ask Five Leaf, was AI used to create the poem? Thank you, Sophia. I appreciate that. I may not be correct, and you may not be correct in all the things, unless you'll talk about the information that you give and not the information that I give. Then that's believable. Right. And I can believe that, Bill. I can absolutely believe that you're one of those people that was with Peggy while she danced with the stars, and no, that you're with Forrest when he was with producers. Well, ask for me then. Five Leaf. Well, and he could have played Forrest, couldn't he? Harrison Ford. If there was a film, he could play Forrest quite easily, I should think. See, I'm never, ever going to be about. If somebody agrees with me, that makes me correct, and or for anybody else for that matter. I think we should all be working to the premise that if we can agree with what Forrest said, then that will give us an answer. If people, forget about the solve, everybody start afresh, clean piece of paper, and say, right, what does this actually mean? And then try and work around that. And if that throws out your solve, it throws out your solve. So, you can't go in thinking that there's a cipher. You can't go in thinking that it's about Superman. You can't go in thinking that it's about Moses. Whatever it is, start again. You've already got your solve. That's not going to change. But then start again using just the information and just the poem. that Forrest gave and see if you have a different outlook. That's what I tried to do, even, with my own souls. I was like, yep, this is it. I can't be wrong, can't be wrong. Right, now let me put it against, and that's the try the law wheel thing that I was talking about. So I'm not knocking Troy, if it's try the wheel, it's try the wheel. But it does actually say try the law wheel, which is a method of solving the poem. As I've said before, them are the words, look at it. I'm not lying to you. Just look at how it fits. Look at the try the wheel solve, and then look at the word law above wheel. So you have try the law wheel, and then you use that as a way to solve the poem, and you can get good solutions from doing that, because you have to use the information that Forrest gave, and that will either validate or destroy or solve, which is what I did. And more often than not, well, pretty much nearly every time it said no, because it doesn't go with what Forrest said here, it doesn't go with what Forrest said there. But then you have to take into account how many answers are there. And I ask that of you, Five. I'm not knocking your soul, but I say, if you have only one answer, and there are two canopy of stars, and there is a chest and a secret treasure, then it must be something else. So then AI, with that information, must give you an answer to something else as well. There must be two answers. At the least, there must be two answers. Because Forrest said that. Does anybody know about my secret treasure? We all know about the chest, because Forrest told us, and he wrote a book about it and gave interviews about the chest. But there is a secret treasure that we weren't told about. So, AI must come up with that answer as well. Well, is that vile or evil or live or live? There's 4 letters there. Yeah, I think me and Davey, well, I know me and Davey have talked about the T-Rex and other fossils. Are they fossils? Not necessarily fossils, but that sort of stuff. Maybe frisson, those sort of things. Well, definitely frisson. I don't say maybe frisson, and that's the thrill. Frisson means thrill. So, yeah, he was definitely heavily involved. And then you have in the talking, I'm not saying he was involved in the chase. Then you have the Clovis cache. What was that about? What could that prove? What could it disprove? What was George Frisson saying? How important was he in that respect? What was that all about? Those sort of things. Hi, Robert. How you doing? Good to read you there. Another searcher with a question in mind, which is always good. You can't just. While I would love to agree with, and I do in a way, I agree with everyone. Their souls are in the poem, and they're right. The person that I'm trying to prove correct is Forrest. While people are trying to say that this is all fraud, I'm trying to say, look, this is just a planned party that is secret, that nobody should know about what's going to happen. So I can't tell you the truth, which is what Forrest said. Don't always tell the truth, but only tell half the truth, whatever. Just paraphrase. This is about creating something or achieving something, and he can't tell anyone. He wouldn't even tell his mother. So why is he going to tell anyone else? And in order to make it happen, he's every right not to tell anybody else. And that may seem like, always on the phone, coming home late, lots of bad things. But so be it. And Forrest said, think nice thoughts. You've got to, anybody with, an ounce of decency in them would understand that that came from a man, that was highly thought of by everybody in the chase, who had no reason to say it other than, I know this is going to look bad, but think nice thoughts. Nothing is as it seems. He's given, and the videos that came out, he's given every indication that this was going to be or look fake. He's put all that information out there to say, look, this could look fake. But, think nice thoughts. So, that's me taking flack. And is it predicted? Possibly. Planned? I would say, yeah, it's planned. This party has been planned. Whatever it is, whatever the party is a secret party that we're all invited to. But you're not allowed to know where it is or what it is until it takes place. And that's the whole point of, a big secret. It's secret and no one can know. And I don't know if, I believe it was the chest that Forrest said it was. It was the chest that was in the Full of the Chase book. And the gold that was on auction is the gold that was in the Full of the Chase book, which is no secret treasure, which is what was, it is what was advertised. Why can we all just live in harmony? Why can't we all just live in harmony is a good statement. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get people to focus on what was said and not what think was said. Twin check. Told no, we can't all get along. Oh, that sounds bad. Yeah, and unfortunately, that I can agree with that, Sophia. Greed's not nice, and I must admit that my first endeavour was based on I wanted that gold, and then it's like a big eye opener when you realise especially when you see what's going on in the world, that there's some more important things. Yeah, don't dig where you're not supposed to though. But yeah, life's a garden. Sorry to hear that, Sophia. Um, well, I don't know how to answer that. Just many sympathies. Can't imagine. Sometimes, Bill, just just take the chest and go in peace. Forrest says, the chase is over. Treasures have been found. Why are people still hanging around? There's reasons why Forrest says, all the things that he says. He's only complicit in, telling half truths. The assumption is that the chase is over, but it's more akin to a relay. But one leg is done. There's another leg and another leg and another leg until it is really over. So some part of the race is finished, over and done with, and that's your bit. Don't watch that person anymore. Watch something else. You're very specific. I'll have to think about it would be possible to. So this is what I asked someone to do. If I could go live and show the poem. So in regard to that question INFJ, I would pull the poem up and then write down what it said, which is more believable than me just saying, yeah, it says this. Now you're starting to sound like Street Bill. So lost in thought. I don't know. Forrest said that you only needed the poem and the thrill of the chase. I believe that to be a correct statement. Bill, what are you like? I like you, Bill. Don't I count as people? It's hard to imagine Forrest saying that, but I suppose you could. And I've heard that people got paid, and therefore that would imply that there is an end. In the poem it says the end is ever drawing nigh, so that could be all the chaos that's now. It doesn't finish; it just keeps going and going and going until maybe McCracken, something ends it. So maybe the court case ends it. Maybe that last case is what ends it. Something ends the chase. It just keep going on until something ends it. Well, it doesn't necessarily see it. I'm not arguing, for anybody. I'm saying Jack didn't take the chest to court, to auction. The LLC did. So Jack becomes irrelevant then. Jack just becomes a person who sold a chest to these people who went to the auction. Well, nobody could take Jack for anything now because Jack didn't own the chest. The LLC did. So if you're looking at anybody now, you have to look to the LLC. Thanks, Who's Kadoo. I'm going to do that. I'm going to keep keeping on. Take care. Thanks for dropping by. I don't say that. So me arguing the case for Jack is not that I think Jack is real. He found the chest and did all this. I think Jack is part of a necessary evil that the chase needs. Yeah, I'm not denying that well, apart from the defrauded buyers, but they bought gold that was Forrest Fenn's gold. I find it hard to believe that that is fraud. It's the chest that was in the Thrill of the Chase book. It's the gold that was in the chest. It came from Forrest Fenn. People bought it because it was Forrest Fenn's gold. The only thing you're saying is fraud is that there's a story to go along with that. I don't know how that works. That they made up a story about Forrest Fenn's chest, which has been sold, which is the chest and the gold that was there. And again, if you believe that there is only one chest to, if that's what this was about, I don't believe it was about this. I think this was about much more. And I think if the argument is that that is the chest that you found with your soul, then I think all may become clear once the party starts, if there is a party. And by party, I mean, the banquet table that we're supposed to get to, the announcement that's supposed to happen on a certain channel, all the things that Forrest said, because I don't think Forrest lied. Well, no, he didn't lie. Didn't lie. He said these things were going to take place. these things will take place, and as long as Forrest makes it happen, which is the can-do attitude that Forrest has and everybody else has. Before Hi, Money 618. How you doing? Hope all is good in your world. I'm not one of anybody. I'm the same as, I say the same. I go back to what I emailed Forrest. It's hard to know who's who. Um, the names in the poem are a who's who book. They are important, influential people in the world, not just, in the Jays. If they were in the Jays, they're important people in the world that people know. And if they don't know those people, they know the names of the companies of those people. Hi, because I can. Good to see you. Read you. And that's what I'm thinking. Robert, the only thing that I'm saying is people will understand it more when the banquet table's set and everybody, gets to eat, rather than, just accusing. Well, he did say that a redneck was, 12 kids, the type of person you want to find it. Depends what he meant by that. I find a redneck being a purist, so a purist could find it. Okay, I'll go with that. Bill, parking sign was a cartouche. I'll go with that. So there is some talk about the jail in the poem, but I don't think it's because of these necessary evil thugs. So the point of necessary evil is for the greater good. The necessary evil, needed to have, the better result. So, are we waiting for the better result? So, which is your cartouche then, Bill? If you're saying that there is a name and a title. Well, I'm of the opinion that you know, all's well that ends well. As bad as it is now, I think the deserved people will get what they deserve. Is the best way I can put it. Amy, you know better than that. You don't miss anything when you come to my channel. Some people think that there is no rainbow at the end of all of this, and I do. They named them that, or you named them that. The Thrillbillies. Why does that tickle me? That's good to hear. Yeah, all's good with me. My feet are, getting better, which is great because working was. But other than that, 12 kids lost the job. Yeah, I agree with all those statements, Robert. All great. But what if Forrest, the whole point was to solve the poem. So you had to tell Forrest where he hid it. That's it. And Forrest could get one over on anybody by saying, that's where I hid it. I hid it in the Rocky Mountains, 8.25 miles north of Santa Fe. If you find it, you can have it, etc., etc., etc. Got a secret treasure. If you could find it, if you have the answer, tell me where it is. I'll go get it. There's possibly two different answers to the same question that people are having, and they're not separating them. I think that's the best way I can describe it. Well, three different answers potentially, and you have to separate that. And it's possible I could tell you that I could hide something in America, and I live in England. If you tell me where I hid it with the information I give you, and you find where I hid it, you can have it. But I don't even need to go to America. I can hide it there. I can hide it in the information that I give you. I can hide it. Or I can hide it in my mind with a place, and the information that I give you tells you where that place is. You tell me where that place is, then you can have whatever it is that was on offer. Not my brain, though, because it's not much. Can't have my brain. There you go, Amy. Did you get that? Jack doesn't exist. So that's been proven. Although, Right. Well, I think the Fembury might have something to do with something. And Tasuk does have a secret garden. I think it's Tasuk. And the poem does take you around the secret garden. In fact, that would be interesting for people to look at. Find the secret garden, get a map of the secret garden, and then trace it around the poem. Trust me, it's there. You can walk around the secret garden and see all the animals that are in that secret garden in the poem. I kid you not. Take a walk with Forrest around the secret garden and look at all the animals that are there. You can go in one door, follow it all the way around. All the way around. So I think it's the Tasuk anyway. Trusting my memory, there's a lot of stuff in there. I like it. Thrillbilly, Thrillbilly. Thrillville, Thrillbillies. I love it. Collection plate. Yeah, I'll put one. if you're willing to donate, Steve, I'll have a collection plate. Michael P. Hi, never seen your name before. Ever. Yeah. Apart from Michael Paling or something like that. But who's this? Famous people that died in the last century. No, Michael, so you're in the wrong place. Trying to wonder if I've heard that name. I don't think I have. But I don't want to offend anybody, but God rest his soul. If today was that day. There you go, Michael. Sophia says, watch everything I can find on Alan Turing. Fenn Clubby here. Oh, nice. Like that statement. Forrest thought of everything, I thought of more. 5 looks, that's good. End of the rainbow and the treasure. Why and? So that sounds very much like the poem itself. I can keep my secret where and, hint of which is new and old. So and is used quite a few times, isn't it? So the end of my rainbow and the treasure. Why the need for the word and why the need for and the treasure? Is the end of the rainbow something else, or is the end of the rainbow with the treasure? That is why Alan is mentioned. He has an algorithm. You could, Michael P. You could have told me that 5 years ago or whenever I started the chase. Got it. Okay. Undestructible treasure. Well, I just think you need to know how deep a hole is. I think that's the answer. If you know how deep a hole is, you're blown in. There's another thing. That's another thing Forrest said. See, it's good to talk, like one of those phone things, phone adverts. Good to talk. So Forrest said, if it doesn't fit on a post-it note, it's the wrong solve. I'm just paraphrasing. So these people talk about their solve, and it's like, well, that don't fit on a post-it note, or whatever the statement was. There is a solve that can. And hey, thanks for short and to the point. That is. Oh no, hid a treasure on the moon. So now you have my attention, Five Loop. Um, hmm, although, how is that north of Santa Fe and 10,200 feet and blah 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 blah? But you do have, my attention in regard to that. It doesn't follow all the things that Forrest said, although imagination is more important than knowledge. Oh right. Related to the shape. I'm a bit stuck then. So you're saying someone used that algorithm to solve the chase with Alan passing away? Yes, with the treasure. Yes, Amy. It's with Yes. Skittles. Yeah, I'm loving chat now. Thanks for those statements. Thanks, Steve. Skittles are at the end of the rainbow. Just take Jess and go in peace. But what was the trove? Good question, Robert. And that is why you had to solve the poem. Looking for a chest wasn't going to get you anything more than a chest. So you had to solve the poem to understand what the trove was, if indeed there is a trove. Yes, and I think TA was in the book. Was it ATTA? Well, Forrest Fenn ABCs. What does ABC stand for? Oh, is that Bo Derek? I'm only joking. Sorry, Amy. I couldn't resist it. Joe John, how you doing? Or a crane. So I think I was talking to somebody once in the chase a long time ago about a crane. See, my problem is that I use synonyms sometimes, or most of the time. So I talk about something and people are like, what? So you would need a crane. Suppose you could call a crane an excavator. Well, yeah, true statement. But the finder shouldn't, or solver shouldn't tell anyone, because Forrest said, don't do it. Unlike Arnie, do it now. No, unlike Arnie, correction, Moondust. Well, I don't fancy. Well, I would fancy going to the moon, but I don't think I'm going to get to the moon. It's like, well, I'll probably get to America more than I would get to the moon, I suppose. Put a picture on. Yes, the post-it is an important statement. If all the statements that Forrest made are important. Hi, Hush. That's it. That's why I've heard the name. Thank you. Yes, the Enigma. Yes. Yep. Thank you. I agree with that. And that's Reminding me about my Ruby cube. So you solved it, then you proved it with AI. Thanks, Wig. I agree with that 100%. It was solved. Making rules, F did not. Oh, Dennis, you talking to me? I don't think I was making rules that F didn't. Making rules, F did not. Well, this plus constraints, well, keys. Sounds like specialized knowledge, but nope. Don't know what that nope is for. Oh, it was solved. Nope. That's what that is. Nope, it wasn't. Dennis Schultz. Yes, I thought the same, Sophia. Community addressing about rules. Oh, cool. Birthday 331. My birthday 331. Supposed to go from my yep, from my cold dead hands. Yep. That is not the way to have a debate, but I agree. Nope. Yep. Nope. Yep. He's talking to everyone. Fine. That's didn't think I was making any rules for us. I thought I was trying to follow the rules. To the finder, loads. More than more than anything. But I understand where you're coming from with that question. There you go, Hush. 5 has told you. You have to empty those olives first, Sophia, and then we can put something in it. But wash the jar, please. So, treasure has been found. The chest has been found. See, this is why I'll try and think what Forrest says. Forrest said that the poem led him to the exact spot. It was solved. It was solved. And then you can call Forrest a liar as much as you want, but it was solved. Doesn't matter whatever anybody else thinks. First birthday is 22. Hang on. No. Forrest's birthday is 8/22/1930. So some of Forrest's birthdays on your license. Selves worth nothing. Debate and 50k to I think the important thing is Forrest making it happen. That's worth more than anything, because when people see what's happened, well, they probably won't believe it, but too bad the joy here. He put his life story in a knowledge jar and then said a soul must fit on a post-it note. Now where is the rule? F put his life story in a knowledge jar. Said a soul must fit. Well, he did say he wrote it that small that he needed a magnifying glass. So potentially, you could write, quite a bit on a post-it note. 20,000 words and hairs. And that again, is another statement from Forrest. I put hairs in the chest to prove, the fool that would abandon this treasure, whatever. And it's like, well, we know who it was, so why are the hairs for, really? No one solved it. There are two parts in the poem, not just one. Neither was solved, but one was retrieved. But that makes Forrest a liar then, because the statement is that it's been found, not retrieved. It's been found. So what's been found? The chest has been found, the treasure has been found, we're both found. Yeah, retrieved is a big difference than solved, but it was found. Doesn't mean it was retrieved. Found is different than retrieved. Something may have been retrieved, but something was definitely found. That's the statement. Though I barely believe this shit for us, he did say the poem in my book was solved. So led him to the. So I'll try to listen to what Forrest says. So when people say different, I don't think, well, what are you listening to then? Because found doesn't mean retrieved. So, and I wouldn't call Forrest a liar. So I would say that somebody found something. They didn't retrieve it. Otherwise, his statement would have been, "My treasure has been retrieved." Hi Lily, how you doing? Day hoedown. Oh, there's an UK saying. And again, my condolences to Shelley, family and friends, and Chase community who may have had. Kevin, is it? In their thoughts. Has David B. Message retracted. Oh no, I want to find out what that was. Found and sold are different. Yeah, and retrieved is different as well. I'm not arguing your sold statement, I'm arguing your retrieved statement. Or debating it. Sherlock is incomplete. Well, imagination may help. Not by the hairs of my chinny chin chin, so that sounds like a McCracken. And Capro got in there by the found, but it wasn't sold. Was retrieved and not sold. Okay, I'm not arguing that. If it was found, then it was found. Okay, Jack and Jack. So I can believe that. But then that goes against what Five Leaf is saying, that Jack is fake and doesn't exist, and etc. 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 So, argue till the cows come home. Collected. Yes, Forrest had found. Yeah, just semantics. If I know what that means. So, as people say, you can't, prove a negative. All you can do is state the facts, and you can argue till the cows come home what you believe to be true. But the facts are, what was said, it was found. We don't have proof it was sold. No, I believe proof will come, but you don't have proof. And, Forrest implied that he would have, a chat with the finder solver, otherwise it gets abstract afterwards, etc., etc., etc. So there was reasons for those statements. Surfing USA, maybe. Lost treasure. Well, that's a good statement to make, Sophia. There's one in the cat. Well, I was looking at wood, metal, rabbits. I was looking at the horoscope, Chinese horoscope, and the astrology and those sort of things, planets and weird things that I would never have looked at if it weren't for the poem. Yes, Harsh, I agree with that as well. The trove and the chest are two different items, although I do believe there could potentially be um, three answers to any of those, or one of those, or two of those, however you want to do it. And it's still out there. You see, people say they agree there's two different things, and then they say they found a chest. And it's like, well, what's the other thing then? How are you going to argue that you found the answer when there's something else to be found? Meat, red wine. So, like I said before, wolf and that sort of stuff took me at that Denver museum, and the pyrite that was there, which is fool's gold, etc., etc., etc. Crazy stuff. State of mind, I would think, Sophia. Thank you, Wick, for coming. You have a nice evening or day, depending where you are. Chest is gone indeed. And finally, who would understand? So at that point. Yesterday was another nothing burger. Well, I think we found out that McCracken was going to end in July, so that's something. But, excuse me, I trying to think what to say. I always believe that there are no nothing burgers. I believe that the information that comes out has a hint of meat in it. You just have to eat carefully. Court case has nothing to do with the lies. Well, I don't believe that they are lies, even if the court cases don't have nothing to do with it. But I do believe that when the court cases end, then the probate may be addressed. Doesn't matter if it's got anything to do with the. Cheers, Davey. Thanks for that. Good man. You're the only one. Thanks for that, Davey. Well, I think McCracken was a friend of Forrest, wasn't he? From what I believe. So I don't understand that, or knew of him, or they had dealings with each other, or whatever. So yeah, in this chase, why would anybody think that as things were going, that Solver would come out and say something when Forrest says don't? You know, while it's awkward to understand what put on your bed for 30 days, there's a lot of things to think about. Is all about why there are 20 different types of land. You go to a solicitor, 20 different types of land for one chest. Well, that's a big chest if it fits on 20 different types of land, or 20 different types of chest, or whatever. Yeah. So Forrest said, I hope nobody ever finds out. So, in the back of any searcher's mind, they must understand that there is a reason why that's been said. Oh, right. Sorry, Bill. So McCracken doesn't come from the UK. He is just a McCracken from America that is going through this. I didn't know that. Breaking Eric Fenn stoop. Well, when was he accused of saying what he said about that child? Was that before the chase or during the chase? Wow, Sophia, you are on the ball. Really balanced. Yeah, that's quite possibly true, Dennis. Think so. This is a bit like work, to be fair. People complain about how things run, but the system only works on what the person who does the inputting does. And if they fail to do that correctly, then the system looks like it's rubbish. But the system isn't rubbish. It's the information fed into the system that makes it rubbish. So if it's put in correctly, then the system works fine. You just have to have the right person doing the right job. Yeah. So, is that the maple leaf that was in the court case? What leaf was that? I can't remember. Possibly. You've drawn a picture of a knee. That freeway. What? So, question. Hmm. I need to say less. I'm still playing after. Yeah, if that's the case, then you need to say less. Don't say more. I know who knowledge portrays in Detroit. No, he's not suing again. It's the same thing, but it went from Supreme Court to lower court, apparently. And the lower court had to respond to it. And that, apparently, from the information, will be, leading towards July. So he failed to do what he was supposed to do. He filed it in the lower court, whatever that means. I have no idea. But it'll take a bit longer than just thought. I think no. I think if you read it as is said in that statement 5, you will find that it says it was found reporting to Forrest, Burke, Fenn. If you change those words and read them correctly, that's how it's found. I'm sure if you put that information into AI, the correct information, it could say that it would read, it was found reporting to Major Forrest, Burke, Fenn. So that it was found on the lost forested vegetation, etc., etc. The under is the reporting to, and then the lost forested vegetation is the canopy, blah blah blah. Will be it was found reporting to Major Forest Burke Fenn. That's how it's found. Somebody got hold of Forrest and said, Forrest. Or emailed, I should say, not got hold of it. Yeah, I find that funny but true. It's a true statement. Not making it up. Look at those synonyms. Read it for yourself. It was found reporting to Major Forrest Burke Fenn. Look at those synonyms. Oh, I'm not lying. Well, checkmate is a good thing sometimes. Hi, Zozo, Mr. Retractor. Oh, another retractor. What's going on? The treasure was found, Forrest said. The it could have been the chest. But according to the poem, there are two canopy of stars. Possibly lots more chests. Well, Forrest said it was the chest. Who are you going to believe? Peggy or Forrest? I hid a chest in the Rocky Mountains. If you find it, you can have it. Forrest words, not Peggy's. So therefore, I'm not saying you're wrong, Bill, because Peggy probably did say the bullet was it and shot. But Forrest did say if you find a chest in the Rocky Mountains, you can have it. Okay, not Call of Duty. You're not playing the game, are you, Money? No, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. All good in my world. Hope all is good in yours. If you're with the forces, then good going. There's duty calls. Got you. The lady's always right. In that, you are correct. So therefore, it is what Peggy says it is. Yeah, and that's all because the lady loves milk tray. No, not cod. No, not cod. No, okay. Well, it's worth a try. I used to be always on the Xbox and PlayStation, uh, like War and Mordor stuff, Gears of War, Resident Evil, that sort of stuff. And then I had problem with my hands, and then I've never bothered to go back on. My arm, so it's a little scar there somewhere. Peggy took the end of the room. So you say stuff like it's personal information that you were there at the time, and that those things sort of like spike my interest because you talk about solve and then you talk about something totally different, and it's like, wow, dude. All right, it's good stuff. My grandsons used to play it, and the big crap out of me, so I don't. I try and play stuff that I can like at least keep up. But the thing is, if you play a game, if you play it a long time and you get good at it, then somebody who's just starting it will never do it. Even if you play like sport games or something. Opens Purple Rain over and backwards. It saves the chest was true story. Now I'm going to start believing you, Steve, if that's the case. Purple Rain. No, don't believe it. If you play Prince Purple Rain over and backwards. Ah, the album. Ah, you see, I just thought one song. See, that's what happens when you don't listen good. I said the album, not just the one song. Well, it might be true. I straight away said no because I went Purple Rain singing the song and it doesn't say No I'm a Hole, but the album, it would have to go low, line, low line, low line, 9. Low line 9. Is there a song there, Low line 9? Oh, hey, this is what I did. If Forrest said something, I was like, right, how does that work? What was that all about? And then I'll try and work out how it was true. Who cracked you up, Davey? Not me. I wouldn't do something like that. Ah, I love that song. When Doves Cry. So that I lent that, never got it back, and I collected records and had them stolen, which wasn't good. And I collected coins and had to sell them to live. I found my thrill on Blueberry Hill. Not strawberry. Searches didn't give me. Well, I think that's a harsh statement, Bill, because Forrest said she had nothing to do with the chase. So probably acting on what Forrest said, not because they didn't believe that Peggy was not, you know, capable of being the influence that she was. But I think the fact that Forrest adored her, and his world evolved around her, would lead people to think that she must have had something to do with something. Otherwise, Forrest wouldn't have been able to do it. That sounds almost like Hindu, doesn't it? Hello, LM9. Notice that F did not want her bothered or her picture taken. Yeah, I can agree with that, but I still think that behind every good man there is a great woman. He fooled you. Listen, everybody fooled me. The chase is, if you let it be, a thrill a minute. You dance everywhere. You're all over the place. If you allow it to let you do that. But like I said, you have to go down every road. And they're not Roman roads. They're not straight. Okay, Sophia, thank you. Well, I didn't hear that either. There's no regrets, no tears goodbye. Maybe there were Scooby snacks in the chairs. Scooby Doo. Yeah, he said, he did, and he also said he wished he never said the word yes. That was a strange thing to say. Oh, did she design the poem as well, Bill? House of Cards. Yeah. Thanks, Lily. Peggy was an architect, so he felt like Peggy when he wrote the poem. Hmm. Read some of the statements. It's not difficult to fool me, to be fair, Bill. I'm a, should I say, trusting? I suppose, yeah, trusting, really. I tend to think of the best in people until proved wrong, I suppose. I try to believe that people are genuine, and most people are. Sometimes you get people who aren't. And while you think that might be that everybody's a good person, it isn't. Genuine can be, you're a real pain in the ass. But at least you're genuine about it. You don't hide the fact that you are. So, it's a good thing. Genuine people are good. You know where you stand. It's those people that aren't genuine that are the issue. There is nothing worse than finding out that you've been taken, like, as a mug. Uh-oh. Careful, Bill. I'm not a I'm not a fan of royalty, to be fair, in the sense that, if I'm going to pay taxes, I'll pay for a monarchy or I'll pay for, parliament. I don't like paying for both. If somebody's going to run the country, then one person run the country and I'll pay that. I'm not for what Harry's doing at the moment. I think probably just a way of getting money. But well, it probably goes back to Diana. She's probably the best thing that happened in the monarchy for years. And I'm talking, hundreds of years. And it was possible that, I don't know, it would have been more acceptable. It would be easier to accept them if she was still there and the princes behaved like her instead of, like, well, certainly one is behaving now. It's not a very regal way to behave, in my opinion. I'll probably get in trouble for that, but that's the way it goes. Absolutely, Spade is different from shovel. They were extremely successful with their career. Yeah, extremely successful. Well, our monarchy, changed the name because of their name. Make no bones about it. It's not like they were, English, but then none of us English are. I mean, I've got a name like Mary Marjorani, but this country has been invaded a lot of times, and most of the people that lived here originally were killed. So it was, the Danes and the Vikings and those people that came over beat the crap out of us that ended up staying here, and many of the English people that were here originally were killed. King Chucky. Oh, sorry for insulting your relations. A spade looks like a arrowhead. Depending on the spade that you use, I think if you're saying that a spade is different than a shovel, yeah, I'll go along with that. Depending on the type of spade you were using, I'll go along with that statement. Then explain the skull and crossbones. Yeah, Forrest explained all of that in either the interviews or the book about the artists and that. And those are in there too. But it's interesting that he wasn't impressed that he had to do it on his own, to bring his art to Russia or Russia's art to America. And it was a pretty forceful statement about if it was damaged or whatever that he made. So I don't think he was very happy at that point in time. Probably as angry as the man who found his William Arley kid statue, whatever it was, in the rubbish. Forrest promised to make 10 more, which begs the question: how many chests are there? if to please, or to calm him down, not to please him, to calm him down, he offered to make some copies of those. My souls. Thinking about that, my souls range on the Burning Man, the Omega Man, not the Running Man. Who other man? Another man, I can't remember. Not Superman. Or was it? I don't know. I can't remember if I was that in the film or not. There's another man. Omega Man, Burning Man. Not Optimum. I know I can't remember. Oh, that's interesting, really. Were you one of the mentions that Forrest made of those people that he helped? And he helped the artist as well. They helped many people, and Forrest seemed to make them bigger than they would possibly ever have been, which could be, what the chase is about, to take someone from nothing to make them something, maybe. There are many answers in the poem if you choose to look for answers. And Forrest said the word itself wouldn't help. Because he was asked a question, is it answer or answers? Because Forrest read it differently. He read, if you have been brave in the wood, as opposed to if you are brave in the wood. So sometimes you have to wonder, did Forrest make mistakes, or did Forrest say these things on purpose? Yeah, but I don't know if those words are supposed to be spoken. People make the quite obvious assumption that Jack wrote the article, and yet Pam gives information that Forrest wrote the article. But you're quite prepared to believe that Jack wrote it, even though you get a statement that says, Forrest did. So if you spare a thought for the author, then you're sparing a thought for Forrest. And if you're sparing a thought for Forrest, then maybe you need to read what was said, especially what the family said. So yes, Robert. Yep. So they thought it was They never knew it was a quarry they sought. But if you look at quarry, Robert, you'll see that means some very interesting words. Could help. I'm not saying it's the correct soul, but it will help you choose a soul or souls. There's many souls in there that synonyms quarry. Which is what I try to say, to trust. Even trusted is a soul. The word trusted is a soul. It's hard. It's hard not to have many souls if you believe that the words hold the key, and I believe that they do. Words like all, just, good, warm, good. Think of all those words. If you put all those words together, you come up with a simple answer. And it only can be one thing. It can only be one thing. A safe place, an isolated place. Forrest gives you the answer. The simple answer. He gives you it. Yeah, here's the answer. Nobody takes any notice. I prefer rock group. The Canopy Rock Stars. So the only way to get the answers is to think like Forrest. Excuse me. It is all American graffiti. The only way to get the right answers is the correct answers is to think like Forrest. But Forrest is the sort of person that slips out the window down the fire escape. How do you think like somebody like that? Or Forrest is the sort of person who says, my eyes are open, my eyelids are shut. Excuse me, how do you think like somebody like that? So he's saying I can still see, it's just that my eyelids are closed. So in his imagination, was he? Or in his reverie, was he then? And did he slip out, in his reverie down the fire escape? Or did he really do that? Because he said, I was the only one who knew the sliding trick. But then he said, with the brown rust stains on my pants, people knew what I'd done. Was that a hint? So the contradictions must make you think that there is there is a reason why the statement's made. You have to find that reason. So you have to start imagining. You have to start thinking, using logic as to Forrest is telling me the answer. If he's telling me the answer, how do I know that I have the right answer? And Forrest's statements sort of like confirm themselves. But they're there to aid the finder, like I say, and not the seeker. Anybody who is seeking is not going to understand what Forrest is saying. Anybody who's reading the poem is not going to understand it unless they found something. High imagination. Elvis came up a lot in my early talks, I must admit that. Not Elvis and Alligator. See, and it's statements like that that make me wonder, because, like Bill, and again I go, who's who in the zoo? It could be that everybody in the chase are all Forrest friends, or solicitors, or whatever. And this is playing out how Forrest wants. So it's difficult to know who's a real searcher and who is causing the chaos in order to make it happen. And then people say specific statements, and you think, well, unless you were in the inner circle, you couldn't make that statement, or it's a pretty wild assumption. Pyrite, yeah, pyrite was the Denver Museum. So I'm just saying a possible answer. I'm not saying that's what it was. And the rainbow was the effect that it had when those glass things up in the air. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, Bill, because you were there. Those things and the walls that were in the in the ground and stuff. So it's quite possible that you can make a soul from that. You can make a soul from anything, because if you want to believe it, you'll believe it, and it will make sense. And Forrest knew that it would make sense. If it's correct or not is another matter, but most of the names are all the same. Devil's this, or a hell that, or there's no place for the meat. But I don't believe that's what you're supposed to do. I think that's the cunning part of Forrest Fenn. Anybody who went past the first two clues was never going to find it, ever, ever, ever. And I think the idea was to make people believe something that didn't exist. It's a truth, but they were believing in something that didn't exist. The truth was there for you to see, but in reality it didn't exist, which is why I talk about the dog going, 10 miles, a constant 10 miles an hour. In an hour, walk 10 miles. And all the information around that is irrelevant. The only bit you need to understand is the dog ran a constant 10 miles an hour. So in an hour, he went 10 miles. Doesn't matter how many times he went to and fro his owners. So sometimes you get information that's not needed, but you believe that it's needed. So therefore, you go through the process of using that information to get an incorrect answer, possibly. Oop, David, again retracted. Why are you retracting to me? I don't, I don't, oh, well, I understand now. Wasn't his name Powers? Powers. It was Errol Flynn. Hey, back. How are you? Hi, David. It's good to see you. I don't get to see your videos live much because you go on silly hours of silly hours of the night. But I do watch them and I find them very interesting. And so does Davey. To be fair, he was corralling you, I think, the other day. Front. So Forrest didn't come and say in the middle then. So is the middle. And then you would have put it 4 sides. 3 middles. Me in the middle. I thought me in the middle was me in the middle, as I've said. A memoir read a certain way is me Mario, with me being in the middle. Not me, but the word me. So me in the middle of Mario. Weird, isn't it? What Forrest did. That's very weird. Me too. This was a trick pulled from Forrest's sleeve. Must be the feather in his hat then. Gold is in the middle of me. Geographic. So if you knew the geographic location to each clue, it would be a map to the treasure. It's weird because in the simple soul, the 9 clues could be talking about the same thing. Then where are you? Back where you started. But knowing the place for the first time. Master of no treasure hunt. And directional geography is a nightmare. Now, I'm not. I think I'm lucky when it comes to geography. I always seem to find my way, even though I have no idea where I'm going. I always seem to get where I'm going. A bit like Forrest, I suppose. Just know that I've got to get there quickly, or whatever he said. Yeah, you seem to have a lot to do with the New Yorker bill. And outside, just because it didn't exist for Yao doesn't mean that the genius of the plan hasn't reveled in. I'll agree with that statement, funny enough. Funny enough, and funny enough. Nice to see you here. Yeah, so some people don't think that Forrest is a genius and prefer to believe that out of 6 stanzas, only 3 were needed. That in itself is bad, but to think that if Forrest said it took 15 years, 15 years to write those words. Looking those words up in the dictionary, words don't mean what you think they do. And it's risky to ignore any of the words. Come on. I don't know how many more things he would have had to have said to say, look, pay attention to the poem, it's really important. And unless you understand it, no. I don't know what that means, Davey, but it's funny. The Heritage Auction House or Sotheby's? Forrest Fenn's dog. You are Willie. Excuse me. Howdy. Heritage. Yes, or Sotheby's. Or is there another auction house? Or just Heritage? Are you asking David? David, answer that. B. There wasn't an A or B. There was a American Heritage or just Heritage. So it'd be AH or H. But B means heritage. Is that what we're assuming? Is he there? David, will you answer? F dog should have a man. Oh dear. I think the information in the poem speaks for itself, in that Forrest is affecting the future, because it talks of the event. I haven't forgot, if INFJ is still here, I haven't forgot, she said Sunday the 11th. The fact that you asked the question means something does happen. And that's why I say, it's difficult to know who's who and how close to Forrest. But then, even with that in mind, it's like how much information, not as relevant, but will make people believe. It's a weird way to think. I have this conversation with Davey. If, let's just say, me and Dave are the only ones that are actually searching or searched or have a real solution, and everybody else is just providing the chaos, and those that really searched have left, it's difficult to know whether anything's worth saying, because if nobody's really interested, they're not real searchers, and they're all helping Forrest, then this is just going to go until something ends it, which is what Forrest said. See me in a show about my heritage. June 24th. So that's a week before Indy 5. Yeah, I think the statement was Heritage Auction House. But you can look up Bill's American Heritage. We'll go and see Davey if you're looking for Australia. Pick him up and take him to America. Well, that's not bad. If you end up going where Davey is, it's a nice place. Doesn't get much nicer than that. Got to admit that. Hi, hi. Ooh. You're busy all the time, aren't you? You're both driving in places and doing stuff. The homestead. Oh, see, you just brought back another soul, or the same soul, but a different part of it. So the Argo Road soul had a homestead on it, going down towards Dinosaur National, whatever park monument. And this is Smoot and all those places. So I know that's not. Well, it might be because it's just on the other side of you, isn't it? Idaho. Smoot is just. The homestead was that Wyoming, or was it on the Idaho border? I think it was in Wyoming, but towards Idaho, Utah borderway, where Argo Road is anyway. So in the poem, that's what it said. Homestead was there, going down towards the Dinosaur um, National Monument. What? 5 businesses? Don't you have time to do anything? 4 months, Bill. You live in a caravan. You talk about buying a home. I call it caravan. I'm not sure. It might be a mobile home type thing, or a camper, or whatever Dave, man from the east, has got. But how does somebody just weird 4 months? So you lot are just trying to blow my brain now, aren't you? Bill's going to Australia for 4 months, and Rudy has 5 businesses. Yeah, you get to say it early, David. Let me know what happens. And see Bill's anti-Kythera mechanism. Hi, Asterix, how you doing? Is there another name for an asterisk? So, if you could travel back in time, or forward in time, who would... Oops, another retracted. Who would go to the future and find the answer? Or who would go to the past and see if they were right? Do you understand that question? Who would go to the future and find the answer? Or who would go to the past and find out right? Correct. So if you believe in your soul, you would go to the past to find out if you're correct. Because Forrest would have to go there. So it would answer your question if you are correct or not. But nobody knows when the answer is coming out. Now, people say that they don't know when Forrest hit it, but if he hit it in summer, and you're correct in whatever solve you have, you should be able to narrow it down. And Forrest hit it. So therefore, you would have to, you can deduce it from, where Forrest was supposed to be at any given time. If you thought that he hit it in Colorado, when was it likely that Forrest was in Colorado against, he was actually in New Mexico, he was actually in Wyoming, he was actually in Montana, at certain times. Just as one depicts. Well, I don't know, is that another fish? Can you get a 5 now? It's nearly a year. you must have a good retirement package. That's all I'm saying. Those I could not afford to pay that money in plane fare or ship or whatever it is that you're going to use. Yes, my words exactly. Bang! Colour Ado. Red Ado. Red Ado. Much ado about nothing. Colorado. A mini meetup. Is that West Yellowstone or is that Yellowstone? Nor me. I've seen it lots of times. I've seen loads of it. I've seen the prismatic springs. I've even seen Beryl. I've even seen, well, I've seen lots of it. But I've seen the Golden Gate and the Silver Gate. I've seen the Hoodoos. I've seen Indian Spring, Indian Spring. I think. Secret Meadow, Lamar. Let's talk to David about West Yellowstone and Yellowstone, the difference. What else have I seen? Fort Yellowstone. What's at the top? Harbor Creek going to the Queen of the Waters. Down to Old Faithful and the Petrified Tree and Hoback Mountain, Wind River, Petite, Grable, Casper, um, Newcastle, Rawlins, Table Mountain, Daniel, House Half-Acre. Yeah. I know those aren't in Yellowstone, those last bits, but just think about Wyoming, where I won't know Wyoming. Oh, going for a new job? Good luck with that. Hope you're not taking Indy's job. Computer software. Montana. So I lived at Billing, Montana, 2006, 2007. Service. So I'm getting the feeling that because of your videos and the craters of the moon being an hour away from there, you are west of Yellowstone, but not high enough to be the Tetons way. Maybe high enough to be the Tetons way, actually. Circle and lane deal. Yeah, definitely on my bucket list, but unfortunately my bucket is very tiny. Close to both. Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to imagine like you travelling east from where you are, going through. You'd have to either, I don't know if you can go through the Tetons and move around them, but probably see them as you went to Yellowstone from where you are. Trying to my knowledge of the chase. I have no idea what America's like, to be fair, only what I've seen, you know. Go to the next big rocket list. Killing her disability. Right. Uh-huh. Well, I don't know. I don't. I don't know if it can be too late for a bucket list. I think you take into account who you are and what you're capable of, and build a bucket list around that. There's probably still things that you want to do that you're capable of doing that you haven't done. Even if it's just climb, not climb the top, but go to the top of Statue of Liberty, or I don't know, see Mount Rushmore, or watch a space launch, rocket launch. I don't know, anything that you might not be too, or unable to do. Jackson Hole, yeah. So is that the place with all the reindeer thingamajiggies? Can't remember which one that one was. Even now, I was even there. Everything had to come together perfectly. Yeah, you're not kidding. I mean, I'm not talking. I don't understand on the outside, on the land and everything, if there's something more. But he made a map. Boy, did he make a map. Maps. I don't know. I don't know how he did it. Five Loops have been talking about AI. If Forrest used AI then, it's still to get that information in that poem. I don't know. But that must be why I must go, to make it exact and precise, in my opinion. Our opinion. Yeah, that's nearer this side, isn't it? So that's near the Tetons, though, isn't it? Is it before them? That is the place with the antlers, though, isn't it? If I'm remembering correctly. Bill, what are you like? I haven't love the Tetons. Yeah, I think most people in the chase probably had the Tetons on their radar, to be fair. And the teeth that Forrest talked about could be part of that. How about I go to Great Britain? Well, we're probably not so great now, but I'd love to see Sophia. Britain probably not as great as it was. Grizzly bear dangers. Well, Forrest said he was going to lead you to the bears. Got the mosquito and then 15 of his relatives, and then going to lead you to the bears. Leave opinion on the bear. Research. Well, so he said aid to find the secret. Oops. Oh, I'm gonna have to go because Calazar's doing the soon. They're one a day for 30 days, but just under the bed there. Either one clue such as opinion. If I was to stand where the chest was, not lean over and sit down, I was to stand where it was. Let's just pin this up. Yeah, I think Forrest saying things like that makes you wonder if it's all in the poem and you understand that information and then just follow that information. Skies are blue, roses too. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yeah, me too, who's Skidoo. Eric, 4202, but not before 2011. So Forrest, in my opinion, thought of everything and tried to inform the finder, as opposed to the seeker, how to find more information. And it was not necessarily there to aid the seeker because the seeker wasn't even looking. So it doesn't matter that the information is given for the seeker because they won't take any notice. So the finder will listen good while the seeker will be on their merry way. And that's how I saw it. Oh, I've just seen NASA down there. Put all our names on the USB drive and send it to. Oh, that's Davy B. I'm worried about it. It's Davy. That's it. I'm optimist. Woohoo! Yes, put all our names on the chase. On good idea. And leave it on the moon. I don't know if it'd stay there or just float away. Yeah, I wish. How old was I then? 8, 1971. Yeah, it's quite possible to believe that. Why I must go. What if the soul was just happy with the prize and didn't care to explode in the world? Well, that's a good possibility. But I think with a solution, I think the solution gives closure more than anything else, or the story, I should say. Something to believe in, something to look forward to, something to wonder about. Some of the important things. But anything that takes your mind away from the chest is, in my opinion, a good thing. What you don't want to do is is jump at the first book you see. You know, that could be the one that pulls you out and hits you over the head with a club. You want to be on the hook that's going to have a look at you and say, "Yeah, nice fish, put you back." Why don't you tell us that before we start looking, Bill? Oh, of course, I find that chance. The best revenge. So I think everybody did the same thing. Said like, if you find the chest, we'll give it back to Forrest. But I don't remember that being said by Five Jack. See, I don't know about that. But I believe you could be right, Sophia. Yeah. See, that could work two ways. Might not be how the answers were found or when the answers were found that Forrest got the information. He could have been given the information in the wrong order, even though it might have been solved in the way that he might have wanted. I don't know. Guided by a higher hand. Well, either that or time travel, one or the other. Cynthia was wearing the bracelet. I thought Charlotte had the bracelet. I must have missed something there. But the fact that the bracelet was not on the chest is probably the most important thing. And if Cynthia is the necessary evil, or if Cobra is the necessary evil, I think the revenge is, if you weren't searching for the chest, you wouldn't just get the gold that went to auction. Something like that. And don't forget, the chest has to be donated, either alone or together. So, are you Cynthia Sophia? Seems like I'm looking at this. Seems like 2011. But unfortunately, that, you know, sounds more real than you can imagine, because Jonathan Jack Stoof isn't that old. So in 2011, 12 years ago, see what I'm trying to say? It's like, Taylor Swift, not that old. How are these people involved in the chase? Daniel Barbarisi, not that old. How is he involved in the chase? He's definitely involved in the chase because he wrote in the poem, and the poem came out in 2010. So 12 years ago from today, how old is Daniel Barbarisi now? So he must be in his 20s then when he was first thought of. Because if you don't believe in Jack, then you don't believe in Daniel Barbarisi either. And then if you don't believe in him, the list goes on. Who do you not believe in? And then you are where I was. Forrest. I don't know who's who. What's going on? What's going on with all these people? No, I don't think the salt, Davey, you're right. You have to solve the poem. And whoever the solver is not going to tell anybody. Well, it depends how many people know what the solver is, but the solver's not going to give the answer if Forrest is not going to give the answer. Now, I believe that Forrest has, an answer to be given, and that'll be the answer that's given if and when something ends the chase. She still thinks the string was used. Nobody believes that. Nobody believes the string was used by Forrest. I find that hard to believe. Nobody believes that Forrest needed that string. But the string is needed to find the answer. Otherwise, Forrest wouldn't have talked about bought a string if string wasn't important. So the string is needed to be unraveled, but it's in what context do you put that? So and that's something I've said to David. This wasn't. This was about trying to let Forrest have it, make it happen. So nothing else was important other than him making it happen the way that he wanted to. So if it meant it went on until he passed away, excuse me. If it meant he went on until he passed away, then if the solver doesn't say nothing, then Forrest gets his wish. If that's the case, because nobody knows anything, and all the chaos, nobody can prove anything. But again, a statement like that, Bill, leads people to believe that you have better knowledge than most. You're making it as a statement of fact, not just a possibility. Now, well, I think the point is to remove the chest from the equation. The chest is the lure, and then Jack becomes irrelevant, doesn't it? If you don't have the chest, if there's no chest and there's something else, then anything to do with Jack is irrelevant. So I sent a poem out about Jack, having a bad chest and saving it for a rainy day and stuff. And that Jack that I sent didn't exist. It was just a lot of synonyms, that appear in the chase. So if Jack doesn't exist and the chest doesn't exist, what does exist? What are you left with? Because if you say Jack doesn't exist, then without Jack there is no chest, because the chest was sold and it was a chest that was in the Thrill of the Chase book, not the chest you were looking for. You were looking for a chest with diamonds, Ceylon sapphires, emeralds, rubies, those sort of things, Colombian artifacts, whatever. You were looking for that chest. So take the chest out of it. Where is the chest that you were looking for? If you don't understand that, then maybe you haven't got the correct answer. So trying to understand the poem means you have to understand the Thrill of the Chase. And you have to take on board that each event has been predicted by Forrest. And you will know at the end point, which is ever drawing nigh, you will know at that point that you followed the information that Forrest was leaving for you. Something like that. So Jack gets removed if the chest is removed. So I don't think about the chest. The chest was just a lure and not important in the overall ending. Oh no, the Stargate project was it. So was it at, like it says in the program? I think it was, because that's in Colorado. And we all talk about New Mexico. So, but what's that place in Colorado? In the program anyway. So Forrest would always talk about the Rosetta Stone and the guy being proud. Well, Forrest writing this poem is way more than what that Rosetta Stone, the information that Rosetta Stone held was nothing compared to what this poem capable of. And again, I talk about if you travel 20 years into the future and you bring back a statue 20 years and place it in a spot, 20 years later, do you have two statues or do you have one? Because the statue was there 20 years ahead of time, that was made between the time that you left and the time that you got there, is now already made. So does somebody make another statue the same and put two statues in the same place? Or is that statue already there because you brought it back from the future and put it in place 20 years earlier? So, when does that statue get made? So let's take 2010. 2010 is your present time. The statue was made in 2005 and placed in a park in 2010. You travel forward. You start at 2010, 2020. No, I don't know what I'm talking about. 2010, you go to 2015. It was made 2020. It was put in the park. You travel to 2020, bring the statue back to 2010. Now it exists in 2010, but it wasn't made until 2015. So does it exist in 2015 and made, and therefore you have two statues? Or do you just have the one statue? Because you've already put the statue there in 2010. So sometimes that's a weird cheese to choose. So I'm saying, the poem is a good creation. Literally, because it says just seem honest and good. And those are important words, keywords maybe. The real finders to be. Let them be. Yeah, let them be. Let them be. Oh, I'm going right behind you. Wow, I am miles behind. What's going on here? You lot right too quickly. Stargate, Cynthia's radio client. What we know, it was F wanted it. Wanted what now? There's lots of answers. But if Forrest brought in Jonathan, then surely it was be to make it work, not to make it not work. You're saying he'd already tried to do over the solver before there was even a solver. That makes sense. Well, I looked at the front of the chase book. To me, it looked like there was a map in there behind all the words. So, was there an X? Oh, no, nothing. Nothing. That sounds like Salty Towers. Tell her the truth, Manuel. I know nothing. Tell her the truth. Gotta go, guys. Thanks. Thanks, Lily. Yeah, I'm going because Cal Lazars will be live soon. Cross escape door for undesired events. I thought of everything. If Jack is worth 18 he does. No, he doesn't. And that's the simple. This is nothing's what it seems. Stop. Stop. Oh, stop. Stop what? Stop being threatened by the information. TTOTC. Canasta. Yeah, I find, in my mind, my imagination, Forrest was always telling people the answers and or was informing them where they were going wrong. So everybody, the information came out and Forrest was saying yes or no. And nobody was listening. I think in water, not underwater, was aimed at somebody. I think, punctuation won't help. I think a blind man can't find the chest. I think, well, things. I think all those things that were said. It's like somebody's given him an answer and he's gone, nope, not that because of this. Only David could say something like that. Yeah, but it's not to. I think you're mixing up. Getting away with something and planning something is directed at the searchers and the community. I don't think it is. I think it's directed more to other people. Just another. No, I think there's loads there. Forrest promised to discover, new discoveries, and I think that's the case. I think that will happen. And like I say, I don't think it's BS. I think it's what's the word that they use? Misdirection, not misdirection. You know what I'm saying? When they're in the war and they put out misinformation to lead people another way in order that the mission will succeed. It's not. It's not meant to hurt anybody. It's meant to aid in, a good ending. I agree with that, Sophia. If you're removing, he has been removed. I don't see all the hoo-ha about it. If he doesn't have the chest and it's been sold to the LLC and that's gone to auction, then Stoof is out of the door, and you got me to talk like that because I used to say, his name is Jonathan. He's not Jack, not anything. His name's Jonathan Stoof, and he's a totally different person than has been portrayed by people in the community. But it was not meant to be in your favour, was it? It was meant to be in Forrest's favour. If you're trying to make it fair, then well, Forrest did say he was going to choose. Okay, so I think Calazar's going to go live soon, so I don't want to tread on their toes because probably have better information than I have anyway. I appreciate all 19 of you for coming in. I absolutely like the 3 likes that I got. I'm going to add one to it because I've enjoyed it. Well, Forrest regretted saying that, opinion nuts, and that might have been because it doesn't help with the finder, tracing those words that were uttered, as it were. I think it was, if I was standing where the treasure chest was, I could see. Oh, I wish I hadn't said that. Oh, I wish I hadn't said the word yes. It's not what? Why? So, from today, sorry for sad loss of Shelley. Probably the most important thing that I've said today. But at the beginning, it talks about what if. You have to understand what if and in person. So you have to be there in person. It was saying you have to be boots on the ground. I think if you look at it in person, you'll find it's toe to toe. And other words, make you think. So just read this last few and then I'll have to get gone. It's 5-2 in the UK. Canasta players are stay home, play canasta. Yeah, I think once if the solver understands all the information, I think there's not much that can be done by anybody. But they're just my thoughts. Yeah, but you're not finding a solution. You're finding you're trying to find a loophole that proves you correct. You're not trying to be correct, and then nothing else matters. So you're trying to make stuff fit. Really, it should just fit, and there was no argument that needed to be had. I'm not saying that you're not right, because you might be right. I don't know fully what you've done. But I won't change myself for nothing. I won't change my solution. I won't change the information. I won't change the spot. None of it can be changed. It is all what it is, and it's all of Forrest's answers, statements, words. You know, nothing anybody comes up with is going to make me change my mind or make me try and prove Jack wrong or right or make me um, change my thoughts as to what has been mentioned or implied by Forrest. Those synonyms, the words in the book, numbers in the book, the poem, pictures, and to the extent the stamps, none of them can be any different. They are what they are, and they mean what they mean. Even just somewhere in Santa Fe, somewhere in Wyoming, is a statement of fact that looked at precisely is what it is. It is what it is. Eric had a good name for his show. There's nothing else. No one said he was. You got one to do. I think it's strange that most people have names that are in the poem. But that's what I'm saying. I don't see that there is a threat. I don't see that there is a threat by Jack. I think everything is as it should be, but not what it seems. Hide me. I think there is a simple solve that people can understand. I think the difficult but not impossible solve probably will never be known. I think the solve in the book is diabolical, and I don't know if that's an ace in the hole or what. But if you had the chest in the lap and you opened the lid, you're going to laugh or cry. It's a real statement and potentially absolutely correct. And if you're not solving the poem correctly, in my opinion, you're not going to know what I wish I could have lived to do the things I was attributed to means. The end of my rainbow and the treasure, where warm waters halt. Nothing is as it seems is what it's turned out to be. But that's the thrill. That's the thrill. And moving forward, it will be all about that. The promise of new discoveries will be about going through the same processes, doing the same things, learning or jumpstart the learning curve. I'm going to have to go. But that's the No, he said I tried to think of everything. And he said he made mistakes. So that's much. Okay, with that, what David says, I'll leave it. Nothing is as it seems. So don't be upset that there's no answers, and don't believe that the answers you have got are set in stone. You know, it's necessary evil for the better good or the greater good, which means meeting at the banquet table of history. What else was said? The promise of new discoveries. You know, that there is. I know it seems like it's ever drawing nigh, but there is an end because something ends it, and hopefully, well, maybe Indiana Jones might shed some light because that is roughly the same sort of time that McCracken the case officially finishes and probate can be um, sorted. I think if that's the case. So I thank you all for turning up. I thank you for 4 likes, 16 people in the chat, and those that came earlier. And that's Sophia, Davey, 5, Bill, Asterisk, Amy. There's too many to mention now. Fendi, and all those people that disappeared. Sorry, but no, I do appreciate you. Well, that might be what ends it. The fact that AI is able to. You know, it's not somebody, is it? It's something. So something ends to chase could be you, I believe. Could be you and AI. You know, that's the statement that Forrest makes, and I believe that to be correct. Forrest couldn't end the chase if he wanted to. Something ends it, so therefore we wait till something ends it. But I will point out, something ends it, not somebody finding the chest. Otherwise, Forrest would have said that. So you have to, if you have faith in the Maverick, which I do, believe that at some point something ends the chase. I don't think there's any denying that. If you're paying Bill, I'll be there. I don't think I'll be there otherwise. Hey Tim, you are late because I'm just about going because you lot are going to be heading over to Caper and Cow. So say hi for me. Appreciate what they do. It's good to read you, Tim. Sorry that I'm going just as you're turning up, but I think you'll have more fun with Caper and Cow. Do I? I don't know, maybe not. No, well, I think if you look up manifests, I think if you look that up, then you have to be there in person. Brian Gates is live. Oh, he's fighting. He's another good person to watch. So, thank you, everybody. Take care. Enjoy whoever is live, whoever you can choose to watch, Bill or Brian or Keiko. Ciao for now. Take care. Have a good night. See you later, David.